Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Mag Show. Today, we are going to be talking about how Nintendo has seemingly lost their minds, in my opinion. But there's a whole lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here with this company, and I just don't believe anything that comes out of their mouth. When it comes to corporations in general, you should not take it with a grain of salt. You should just strictly not believe them. As a consumer, we need to be more discerning about how we spend our money and how we buy and consume their products moving forward. Not be a slave to the message, their messages, and not be a slave to what they offer us. We are the ones in control. We are the ones who give them the money. We are the ones who pave their path forward. Not them. Not them. It's us. The power is in our hands as the consumer, because without the consumer, then you don't have Jeff Bezos driving around in a $27 billion yacht. Okay, wonderful service he provides, right? Absolutely. He gets my money as a result of that, and then he can make his billions. But without us, he's not going to make those billions. Same thing with Nintendo, same thing with Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Sony, all of them. They're all the same at the end of the day. Let's get into this conversation about how they raised the Switch prices here in Canada and how I think they're completely and utterly full of crap. Nintendo announces, this is, by the way, from VGC. I just pulled this article up because it's nice and colorful, folks, okay? Nintendo announces Switch price increases in Canada amid U.S. trade tension. Wow. If there is not a bigger load of crap that I've ever seen on a piece of paper, I don't know what is. The cost of many Nintendo products will soon increase in Canada, but Switch 2 isn't affected. That's the line that I wanted everybody to see. Now, when Nintendo released this information, they actually made it very, very clear in the last sentence that the Nintendo Switch 2 isn't affected. So please explain to me, like I'm not an idiot, that why the Switch 1 is going to be raised in price because of a trade war. That has nothing to do, by the way. The Switch is not being produced in the United States. It is not manufactured in the United States. Either is the Switch 2. But for some reason, the Switch 1 has something to do with the U.S.-Canada trade tension? Are you like, what is this? Are you lying to me? You're absolutely lying to me. You've got to be lying to me. Here we go. Nintendo has confirmed it will raise prices for many of its products and services in Canada due to, quote, market conditions. Again, so now we got the OLED model, the Nintendo Switch, the Switch Lite physical and digital Nintendo Switch games, and Nintendo Switch accessories will all be raised in price in Canada amid U.S.-Canada trade tensions. If there were actual issues with trade tensions in the United States and Canada in regards to Nintendo product, then why isn't the Switch 2 affected by this? I'll tell you what they're actually doing. What they're actually doing, besides lying, is that they're trying to funnel people into the Switch 2 because up here, they're not selling as well with the Switch 2, okay? Switch 2s are sitting on, I mean, even just from like going into a store, Switch 2s are just sitting on shelves. They're sitting on shelves right here. I could see them. Nobody I know up here owns one. And even when I did a litmus test, I talked about this on XNC, where I did a litmus test in terms of Nintendo Switch 2, and I talked to all these parents who all have Switches for their kids, right? And of course, some of them play it themselves. And I said, so the Switch 2 with the bundle with the Mario Kart World is going to be $800. Because I mean, what are you going to buy a Switch 2 for with no game, right? So you need the game. I go, yeah, if you want to have the one game that comes with it, the first party game there, it's going to be $800. They all laughed in my face. Guess how many people bought it? Zero people bought the Switch 2 that I know, and that's several people. A lot of people I talked to, people DM me saying, no, I didn't buy it. Noof Nukem bought one, and we talked about that a little bit on his show. But either way, the point is that I think that what they're seeing is that they're seeing that people aren't willing to make that jump because you put a price point that a lot of people just can't attain. Okay? At the end of the day, you've priced me. Now, I've kind of lost focus when it comes to Nintendo over the last couple of decades, especially when the PS2, Xbox, then Xbox 360, PS3, and all that. Then I just basically completely walked away from Nintendo. I still owned a Wii. I still played bowling. I still threw the controller against the wall when I tried to throw a strike. I did all that stuff. Not about a Wii U. And then, of course, I got a Switch because guess what? I got kids now, right? I didn't have kids 20 years ago, but I have them now. So I have a Switch OLED in the house or whatever, right? They barely touch the damn thing because they're too busy playing Fortnite and Roblox, right? And Call of Duty occasionally. So at the end of the day, they priced me out of a new console. So what's happening now? I said, well, we got a Switch 1 with a whole bunch of games here that the kids occasionally like to partake in, and they'll go down and do that. I think that I'm not the only one where that's happening. Nintendo also sees that happening. As a result of that, they're trying to squeeze people into the Switch 2 situation. Very similar to what I would like to say is what, like, for example, what Xbox raising their prices to $80. I know Nintendo did it first. Thanks, Nintendo. And then on top of that, you look at, like, for example, Mario Kart World here in Canada with tax in Ontario specifically is $128.50 for just the game if you're going to buy it separately, right? So now Xbox has raised their price to $80. Now, if you're, let's say, on the Xbox ecosystem and you're not a Game Pass subscriber, but you want that game, are you going to buy that game for $80 now, or are you just going to subscribe to Game Pass? Well, what are they doing? They're funneling you into Game Pass, or at least they're trying to funnel you into Game Pass or move you off the PC, which is their ultimate goal. I said that on XNC as well, that they want to basically move everybody there so they can streamline development across all systems with just using Windows 11. And then, of course, being able to port to the PlayStation. But anyways, that's a whole other conversation. I want to get back into this conversation. So Nintendo, I think, is trying to funnel people away from that Switch 1. And that's why they were very adamant about putting not a Switch 2 not affected. They did that on purpose, so that it was the last sentence you read because it's the last thing that's going to stick into your minds, okay? They're trying to get into the minds of the consumer. Don't fall for it. Just do what you're going to do. If you want to spend that money, go ahead and spend that money. That's fine. It's your money. Do what you want to do. But you're not going to get my money. And you're not going to get my money for a Switch 2 for $800 for one game and Bonanza, whatever the hell it's going to be called, the new Donkey Kong that's coming out. Other than that, I'm not interested at all. So I'd rather spend the $800 on the consoles I have now, which are the which are the Series consoles and the PS5 Pro. I'd rather put that money towards there where I can play the quality games and, of course, even be on the subscriptions when they deserve my money for the subscriptions, which Xbox has been doing a wonderful job of that. PlayStation has also been releasing some quality games. They got Diablo 4 this month. That's awesome, right? So great for consumers, great for gamers. And, of course, it's more up my alley in terms of what I enjoy to play. This whole situation with Nintendo just doesn't sound right. It just seems so disingenuous to the point where not only am I looking at them side-eyed, they just basically have lost my confidence as a consumer, where I just don't believe anything that's coming out of their mouths anymore. And I've always been a cynical person, like I said, when it comes to corporations and their messages and their advertising and everything else. But at the end of the day, folks, remember something. You have to remember that it's us that give them the power. They don't have the power without us. I know that sounds so like lofty or whatever, but but you know what? Whether it comes to Amazon, Meta, Apple, Google, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, they're all the same. They don't exist without you. They may be so powerful and worth trillions and they control everything and whatever else, but they're not anything without you. So if you don't feel that something is right, then you do what's right for you. Yourself, your wallet, and your family. That's what you have to understand at the end of the day. And what this thing says to me right now, I will not be buying a Nintendo Switch 2 because I just don't like the practices and I don't like where it's going and I don't like this whole situation. It just, like I said, it doesn't pass the smell test to me. I want to know what you guys think. I know in the United States it's not affecting you right now, and maybe other parts of the world it hasn't affected you just yet, but it may affect Europe at some point. It may affect Australia at some point, or South America, and maybe one day it will affect the United States. Who the heck knows? But we'll find out over time. I want to know what you think. Do you think that this sounds a little bit too suspicious? You think this doesn't sound right? Doesn't smell right? It doesn't to me. But either way, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, and of course to the Legion of Mag, all you members out there. I will be starting with members only Magcast next Tuesday, July 8th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday evenings, it'll be every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we will have just a short discussion about what's going on in the gaming world, what's happening, what we're doing, what I'm doing. You can ask me any question you want, and it'll be for members only. So if you want to be part of that, come join the Legion of Mag. You want to be a maggot? You want to be a part of the army? Then you can be a part of it. But anyways, everybody have yourself a wonderful day and stay magnificent.